Hi, my name is Gemma Rodriguez, and I'm going to be talking to you about the 5 stages of grief. The five, sorry. The 5 stages of grief are depicted in my visual guide. Unfortunately, how many of us haven't had to deal with a loss? And many of us go through a healing process known as grief. The better we understand grief, the better we will be equipped when we do have to inevitably deal with a loss. The 5 stages of grief are as follows. First, you have denial. Then you have anger. Then you have bargaining, depression, and acceptance, as coined by Christian Kubler in 1969. Denial is nature's way, or our own natural way, of dealing with the loss that we have had, because we can only take in or assimilate what we as individuals can accept or take in at a time. Grief, like pain, is something subjective. It is not something that we are all determined to feel all at once. As well as denial helps us heal at our own pace. But once denial is over, because like with everything, you cannot hide the truth forever, all those feelings that you have been pushing aside and trying not to acknowledge come to the surface, and you become angry. The first thing you need to do when you are angry is look at yourself in the face or mentally state the truth. I am angry. Like Dr. Christina Hubbard says, that is the only way you can begin to really heal, accepting your feelings and dealing with what it is that you are feeling. Also, that anger is going to be the first real acceptance of all these brushed away feelings and the first structure to the unstructured that you have going on right now, because you just can't make sense of what just happened to you. You don't think it's fair, you don't think it's right, but unfortunately it has happened. After you have dealt with your anger, or at least been with your anger for a bit, because this process is not linear. It is not something that happens one by one by one. You may be in one stage first and then jump back to the other, or be in one stage longer than you would be in another. But for the sake of this argument, after you have dealt with your anger, you will move in to the bargaining stage. You will start to think, what if? What if I could have done this? What if I could have done that? What if I could have said this? What if I could have said that? Those type of thoughts will be very prevalent in your mind, and they may also be very well in conversation, because you're just trying to deal with your loss, and you're trying to understand that maybe if something could have been done differently, maybe today your reality wouldn't be the one that it is. But at the end of the day, your reality is impending, and after you have bargained with yourself and with those around you, you move into depression. Depression is the hardcore truth looking you in the eyes, telling you this is what it is and this is what you need to deal with. Do not feel bad if you are depressed. Depression is normal and it happens. It would be abnormal if you wouldn't be depressed. It would be abnormal if you wouldn't be sad. Give yourself the time allotted you need to be depressed and to be sad. After you have been depressed and after you have been sad for however long you have needed, you move into the acceptance stage. Accepting something does not mean that it is okay. It does not mean that you are fine with what's going on in your life. It just means you are making sense of this new reality. You are accepting who you are. You are rearranging things for yourself and maybe rearranging roles for others. Do not feel sad or guilty for being happy once again and smiling, even though your loved one has passed away or you have dealt with a loss. Just accept it and be grateful that you have been able to do it. Accept that it happens to all of us. Accept that a loss is something that happens to everyone. I'm going to once again summarize what I spoke about in my speech and tell you the 5 stages once again. The 5 stages of grief are as follows. First, you have denial. Then you have anger. Then you have bargaining, followed by depression, and lastly, acceptance. As I mentioned before, this is just a blueprint. These stages are not necessarily written in stone. You can be in one stage first and then jump to the next, and you don't have an exact amount of time to be in each stage. Just be easy on yourself. Accept that loss is not easy for everyone to deal with, and give yourself the time allotted to be together again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope you've enjoyed my visual guide as well. The signs for this, first, it's not happening because you have the denial going on. Then you have, after your denial, you have your angry face because you're angry at what's going on. After your anger, you have your bargain, which is your dollar sign. After your dollar sign, you have depression, which is your sad face. And lastly, you have acceptance. You were shaking on it. You were accepting your new reality. Well, thank you once again. And once again, I hope you've enjoyed my audience.